As the recovery effort from Superstorm Sandy goes on, there's a new worry for residents. Health experts say Sandy may worsen allergies this year. Matt Alvarez explains.
The last thing people along the Jersey Shore who are trying to rebuild is have possible health issues arise because of the hurricane that already caused so much damage.
There's a lot of debris everywhere from the hurricane, and there's people that had mold in their house, and everything's just crazy around here. So I think the allergy season is going to be a lot worse this year.
So there's an allergy alert from doctors who say this allergy season will be more potent and may even last longer due to all the moisture dropped from Hurricane Sandy.
We've had a lot of rain. There was a lot of rain with Sandy. There's still been a lot of rain. So that means the plants will be very robust.
Additionally, dust particles stemming from construction and debris along with mold may also cause allergic reactions, which has some people concerned along the shore.
We don't need any extra headaches. We have enough as it is. So, and I do have people in the house that do have allergies, so that's not gonna help the situation.
And Dr. Catherine Monteleone with the Robert Wood Johnson Medical School says there's a few things people along the Jersey Shore can do to protect themselves.
If they're working around the area, certainly wearing a mask, wearing goggles, keeping things out of their eyes and out of their lungs would be helpful. Won't do everything, but it would be helpful. And if they are allergic, taking their allergy medicine would be helpful.
Health officials say pollen counts will rise sharply, saying maple, elm, and cedar trees will bud, then oak and birch. In Union Beach, New Jersey, Matt Alvarez, the 10 o'clock news.
Joining me now for more is Dr. Donald Liebner, who is an allergist with St. Peter's Healthcare System in New Brunswick. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So who are we going to blame for Superstorm Sandy and all of the problems that could come? Are we blaming the storm itself for this really bad allergy season?
Well, I think it kind of set up the system to begin with by dumping a fair amount of rain, not a huge amount, but a fair amount in the northern part of the state. The southern tier of the state got a huge amount of rain, but that just saturated the groundwater, the ground with water. And what happened after that was through the winter we had a normal amount of rain and snow, which has kept the ground saturated. And because of that, the trees now have a lot of water to feed from, and the pollination has already begun quite strongly.
So the combination of that snow and then of course that followed by the severe storm that we've also had later, so you think all of that just sort of impacted to make for this allergy season?
Absolutely.
Okay, so those two together, the growing discussion also about climate change, so we're talking about all of that coming together. It can't be good.
Yeah, with climate change we're actually seeing the seasons kicking in a little bit earlier and earlier each year. Last year was somewhat of an anomaly. It came in about a month early. This year we're seeing the pollen levels probably about a week to a week and a half early, so usually begins around April 1st. It started earlier this year in spite of the cold.
So what are people who traditionally experience allergy symptoms, what are they seeing in terms of problems?
Initially, at late March, they'll start to see itchy eyes, postnasal drip, some sneezing, sinus headaches, things like that.
So pile that on top of those people who live in the area where Sandy really had an impact. What are those people seeing?
Well, they've never actually gotten out of it. I mean, they started, especially those who had the flooding issues in their houses, if the mold wasn't remediated properly from the start, they are living in houses that have mold which they're exposed to basically 24/7.
Long range, what does that mean for their health?
Well, hopefully they've gotten the mold taken care of. If it hasn't, I can't even think long term in terms of that, because if they haven't remediated the mold, then they're really looking at an increased risk of asthma and chronic respiratory symptoms.
Their quality of life. So many people don't think in terms of quality of life when it comes to allergy symptoms. What does that mean?
It means you really can't go about your day performing your normal activities. You're interfering with somebody's ability to concentrate at work. They can't go outside and play if they're children. Adults who work outside have more problems, more headaches, sinus pressure up in here and under there. It tends to be very distracting. People can't focus on that, homework, things like that. Asthmatics, huge issue with asthmatics, especially with molds and pollens this time of year. So it does interfere with daily life.
When we talk about, too, so many people want to go outside and exercise and feel like they're actually getting healthier. But if you have allergy symptoms, going outside, jogging, running, whatever you're doing, that can't be good.
That you have to time properly.
Okay.
You really can't do that. Once the sun is up, it's much more difficult if you have asthma and if you have allergies. So what you want to try to do is exercise very early in the morning or after sundown when the pollen levels usually decrease.
And for children?
Same thing. And that's rather difficult with the child, to get a child to not go outside during daylight after school or during recess. A lot of children actually have to stay indoors at school during recess. And that's where it really interferes with not only their physical health, but also their social well-being.
Lastly, if I could ask you to please just give us some tips for anyone who suffers from allergy problems.
Pretty much, as Dr. Monteleone said in the segment, not only when working on the houses, but when working outside, goggles, masks if you're mowing the lawn and that's kicking up molds and grass pollen from the soil, those will help. Medications, whether it's over-the-counter, prescription nasal sprays, and if all else fails, allergy shots or allergy immunotherapy down the road can help preventatively.
Okay. Thank you so very much for joining us.
My pleasure.
If you have ideas about topics you'd like to see discussed, please log on to my9tv.com and click on Public Affairs. We want to hear from you. You can also like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. That's all for today's show. Thank you so much for joining us. For My9, I'm Brenda Blackman, and we'll see you next week on New Jersey Now.